forbidden love, one of the more controversial topics in warrior cats, and one that people hate due to how much we see it. Now, I know I made a video 2 years ago complaining about how forbidden love is the worst thing ever, but you know, that was 2 years ago, and it's really worth giving the concept another chance. In fact, some of these stories are actually a lot more than just another forbidden love story. Warriors definitely leans towards making characters that are relatable, and these stories are no exception. Of course, falling in love with someone from a rival clan isn't exactly something that happens in real life, so we really have to look into what these rival clans represent. And what's cool is, they don't always represent the same thing. To start us off, let's quickly talk about the 2 original forbidden romances, Blue Star and Oakheart, and Gray Stripe and Silverstream. Now, these examples are actually more traditional, in the sense that the main aspect of their relationship being focused on is the whole star-crossed lovers type plot, in which no matter what happens, destiny separates them. Tigerstar's perspective on the situation sort of complicates it a little, as he sees the cross-clan relationship thing as something similar to interracial couples, calling them half-bloods, but honestly, I don't really like seeing them that way. In both cases, they decide that clan is more important than their relationship. And well, with Tigerstar's interpretation, that is not an okay conclusion. So I really don't think this is the author's intention when creating these romances. I really don't want to talk about them. I'd rather talk about some better developed pairings that I actually think mean something. And I'm not talking about the Jayfeather Half Moon garbage, or that ridiculous Maple Shade stuff, or that River Clan Wind Clan relationship in Crooked Star's Promise that everyone forgot about, or Alderheart's, whatever Alderheart had. I'm talking about Leafpool Crowfeather, Lionpaw Heatherpaw, and Dovewing Tigerheart. The main 3 romances in ThunderClan that started this whole we don't need any more forbidden romance thing. I'm here to explain why these 3 stories each have their own unique perspective on the subject, relating to entirely different groups of people. Yes, Tigerheart and Dovewing are a well-developed pairing. I promise I have a reason for saying this. We'll get to that later though. We need to go in chronological order, meaning we'll start with Leafpool and Crowfeather. Now, at first glance, they may seem a bit similar to Gray Stripe and Silverstream, but they really aren't. There's something really significant about the structure of this romance, and that's the whole concept of Leafpool running away from ThunderClan to live out her life with Crowfeather. Leafpool and Crowfeather use the difference in clans to represent a long-distance relationship. One of the things emphasized here is just how hard it is for Leafpool to balance her relationship with medicine duties. Well, medicine cat responsibilities are a metaphor for any job that requires a lot of commitment. And Crowfeather, well, he lives far away. Meeting at night is sort of like having to work super late and then having to drive really far to only get like an hour or so with your loved one, and then being really tired when you have to go back to work the next day. The whole decision between clan and love can also be really relatable in the sense that a lot of people have to suffer through very harsh jobs to support their family. In Leafpool's case, her job was supporting ThunderClan, and her love for Crowfeather made her selfish in the eyes of Cinderpelt, and well, every cat. In the end, Leafpool did choose her clan, and that's actually really sad. Now, Missy Dakota really likes these 2 cats because of the whole long-distance relationship metaphor. If you don't know who she is, she's the one drawing all these cats that I'm constantly spinning around. Anyways, she actually really loves the Leafpool and Crowfeather romance for what it represents. She dropped out of college and moved 700 kilometers away from her home to be with her loved one. The Leafpool Crowfeather romance sort of serves as inspiration because it shows that having these emotions is 100% valid. In the books, Leafpool choosing her clan is sort of portrayed as an act of loyalty, and we're supposed to feel proud of Leafpool, but in reality, it's just life. There are physical barriers between us and the people we love, and sometimes obligation can stop you from being able to cross these barriers. And that's just the sad truth. Moving on. Lion Paw and Heather Paw is where people really got sick of forbidden romance. The book itself even makes a point of saying that the story isn't original. However, their night meetings really give us a different spin on the concept, and part of this is the tunnels. Instead of this pairing feeling like a long-distance relationship, the tunnels make things weirdly convenient for them. Also, the whole fact that they are basically role-playing in there is super interesting. I mean, they literally give their pairing the name of Dark Clan, and Heatherpaw makes herself leader. This type of behavior is something that is usually associated with children and imagination, and more recently, the internet. I just want to remind you that this book was released in 2007, which was sort of a significant time for the rise of virtual worlds directed towards children. Club Penguin, Neopets, Have a Hotel, just to name a couple examples. These type of websites were popping up everywhere. And well, when you have a social website that is centered around children connecting with strangers, you have consequences. Kids, date each other. Now, they do this fully understanding they will never meet in real life, but Lion Paw and Heather Paw are sort of showing us the emotional burden of this. The tunnels themselves really work as a metaphor for kids using the internet. Like, these virtual world websites are just so complicated, and if you let your kids use them, they will learn to understand them somehow. But there are still hidden consequences and dangers of using the website that you can't see on the surface. So, tunnels. Complicated, kids learn how to navigate them, hidden dangers. It's the perfect metaphor. And to elaborate on dangers, I'd say that there's the danger of just investing too much of your emotions into the medium. When Lion Paw breaks up with Heather Paw, he just doesn't know what to do with himself. Also, the metaphor can go beyond virtual worlds and children and represent interacting with strangers on the internet as a whole. As I mentioned earlier, the tunnels make long-distance relationships weirdly convenient. And while it's super cool to interact with people that you would have otherwise never heard of, there are still problems that arise from this. Now you have to worry about what some strangers think of you, and now you have to take time out of your day to message these people. And if you decide it's too much, well, how do you end that relationship? Do you just stop going down the tunnel? Lion Paw had a lot of trouble, and everyone who has ever used the internet to interact with strangers can relate in some way. Now, Dovewing and Tigerheart. What is going on with them? Well, if you remember that Bumblestripe is involved in their story, it sort of becomes obvious. This is clearly a why do good girls like bad guys sort of story. Now, the Warriors fandom has definitely had this question for a real long time because they hate this pairing. Or at least, they used to hate it before Tigerheart's shadow. Without a doubt, Tigerheart is supposed to be a bad boy. He's in Shadow Clan and he actually uses Dovewing to get information about ThunderClan's secret Catmint stash. He trains in the Dark Forest, and he's a Tiger Star clone. Now, if you use the Last Hope as the end of their relationship, you get Dovewing realizing that Tigerheart is a bad boy and rejecting him. But then, the authors sort of went back on this and say no, they still love each other, and then years later we get Tigerheart's shadow and the two cats are mates. Now, let me tell you, this is the best possible outcome for their relationship. First, because it makes up for the sad ending of Leafpool's romance, showing that clan commitment isn't the only thing that these cats value. Secondly, we just get a really good message about the difference between bad boys and nice guys. That message being that the difference doesn't exist. It's just a matter of perception. From the perspective of a ThunderClan cat, yeah, Tigerheart is a bad boy. But in reality, he's just a cat who happens to be a more risky partner for Dovewing. And in the end, he actually turns out to be genuine. so it was good for her to take a chance. Also, there's just so much interesting stuff with Bumblestripe's role in all this. But if you're interested in that, I have an entire 13-minute video on Bumblestripe, so go watch that. Anyways, that concludes my opinion on the 3 best forbidden romance stories in the series. It just goes to show that plot points that are hated by the fans can still be worthwhile if you take the time to properly come up with your own interpretations on them.